You need a growing mint, or you are like, man, you know what? I kind of want to grow mint this year. If so, don't do what I did and not research this plant. Mint is a plant you definitely need to know a lot about because there are some drawbacks for real to putting mint in the ground. So sit back, relax, take some notes. Let's learn all about mint. Okay, right off the bat, let's start with the most important thing, in my opinion, about mint, and that is it's invasive. This plant will take over a garden bed. So do not plant mint, of any kind of mint, any of them, in your garden bed or a raised bed, because you will not get rid of them. This is a Mediterranean type plant that sends out runners that have little root nodes all across them, and anywhere that those roots touch the ground, they will root and grow. And these plants grow very fast and will spread incredibly quick. So if you don't want to have mint for the rest of your life in a garden bed, do not put it in a garden bed, because again, I'm going to beat this horse to death. It is incredibly invasive plant. Now, what I did when I first started gardening is I didn't know this. I did not do any research. So if you're a new gardener and you're watching this video, you're already one step ahead of me when I was a new gardener. I planted 3 mint plants over there in that raised bed, and they're still there. I have tried to kill these plants because I just don't want them, and they take over garden beds. I cannot kill these things. They are incredibly hardy, especially in zone 9A where I am. Cannot get rid of them. But at the same time, I'm stuck with them. So again, if you do not want to have mint for the rest of your life in that bed, do not plant mint in your garden bed or a raised bed. What you'd want to do is plant them in a container, which we will go over shortly. Okay, now that we've talked about just how invasive this plant is, let's talk about some of the different types of mint, because there's more than just mint. And let's go over those right now. Let's talk about peppermint. They have a rounded pink flower. The leaves have a jagged tooth-like look to them. The most common use for peppermint are in teas, but you can also use them in potpourri or baking. Now, this plant does really good in zones 5 through 9. It basically needs full to partial shade, well-drained, rich, moist soil, and this plant will get about 12 to 24 inches tall, and that is peppermint. Now, this is a plant that I had at the very beginning that I had to pull out because it just started taking over one of my raised beds, and that's chocolate mint. Now, chocolate mint gets its name from the smell of the leaves, not the taste of the leaves. It's actually orangey and is used in both drinks and desserts. This one also is really good for zones 5 through 9, full to partial shade, well-drained, rich, moist soil, and gets about 12 to 24 inches tall. Chocolate mint is one of those ones that if you plant it, you're gonna love the smell. Trust me. Okay, let's talk about spearmint, which actually gets its name from the shape of the leaves because they're pointy like a spear. Their flowers are pink to pale violet, very beautiful flowers. Of course, you know the spearmint flavor is really good in gums and desserts and things. So again, this one is really good in zones 5 through 9, full to partial shade, well-drained, rich and moist soil, 12 to 24 inches tall. Okay, this next one is absolutely beautiful, and that is a pineapple mint. Its leaves are variegated, which means they have multiple colors on the leaves, as you can see here, and absolutely beautiful, beautiful mint. More grown for ornamental purposes than actually consumption, but you can eat this mint. You can use them in fruit salads, jellies, teas, or you can use the leaves as an ornament or a garnish on a table or a plate. This one, once again, is great through zones 5 through 9, full sun in the north, partial shade in the south. So there's a little bit of a difference there. And this one will get 24 to 36 inches tall. Okay, who likes mojitos? This next mint is called Cuban mint because this is the mint primarily that you should use for mojitos. It has a strong aroma and a rich flavor, which is perfect for mojitos. This one is grown or originated in Cuba, which is where the mojito is from. This mint, once again, is great for zones 5 through 9, full sun to partial shade, 18 to 24 inches tall. Now the next one is more up my alley because this is a margarita mint, which again is the leaf that you should use primarily if you're going to make margaritas in that way. It has lilac to purple flowers, which are absolutely gorgeous. This mint sends its runners across the top of the soil, not under the soil, like all the other mints do. So it spreads less evasively because of that. There's a change on this one. It's great for zones 5 through 8. Full to partial shade, 6 inches to 12 inches tall. So this is a very low ground cover type of mint, which you could use as a ground cover or a living mulch if you wanted to. Okay, now this last one right here that I'm gonna cover is different because this one's actually toxic. It is not for culinary use at all. And in fact, it is grown as a deterrent for animals. It's the penny royal. It's a low ground cover type of mint that is perfect for, again, a living mulch. So you do not want to eat this one. This mint is great in zones 5 through 9. Once again, full to partial sun, but it's a very small plant. It only gets 4 to 6 inches tall. Again, it's a perfect plant for a living mulch. Okay, let's talk about growing mint in containers. If you're going to grow mint and you do not want it in your garden or a raised bed, I highly, highly, highly recommend growing them in containers. Keep that container on concrete. You do not want those roots of a mint plant to get anywhere near your ground at all, whether it's in your yard, a garden bed, a raised bed, whatever. Make sure that if you're growing them in a container, that you are definitely putting them in a good, rich, well-draining soil, and then just harvest them when you need to and prune them back. That mint plant will last forever. They are a very good plant. You will need to bring them in the wintertime. So again, if you're going to put them in a container, that's perfect, because container gardening is awesome for that reason. You can move them around. And if it gets too cold where you're at for the plants, bring them inside. Now the best way to plant mint is from transplants or seedlings. Planting them from seed can be an issue because they're not a true seed. So plant them from a transplant or a cutting for sure. If you're burying them in your garden or in your, if you are going to bury them in your garden because you want to have mint for the rest of your life, or you're putting them in a container, bury them as deep as the container is tall. Make sure you bury them really well. Well draining, watered, fertile soil. Doing square foot gardening, it'd be 1 mint plant per square foot. If not, then you need 12 to about 18 inches apart per mint plant because they will spread. Mint does best in partial shade, especially in the hot areas. And if you're in a cold climate zone, you want the mint in an area that gets a lot of sun throughout the day. Mint flowers need to be cut back so it makes the plant continuously produce the mint leaves. If you let them go to flower, there is an extra bonus for that, which we'll go over here in just a minute. But to keep the production of your mint plant producing mint leaves, keep the flowers cut back. Mint leaves are ready to harvest about 30 days after transplant, when the plant is about 4 to 6 inches tall. Harvesting, you want to cut the branches back, or the stem back, to a branched area. That will make the plant produce more growth out of those 2 areas. Young tender leaves have the most flavor, so when you're harvesting, harvest them when they're young, because the older leaves can have a more woody flavor, which you don't want if you're harvesting mint, for sure. Now there's a million different ways you can use mint. Of course, you can put them in salads, drinks, desserts, pretty much whatever. You can use them fresh, you can use them dried. Mint is a great plant, but again, if you're going to plant them, make sure you plant them where you want them. If you don't want them in your garden, I know I keep saying this, do not plant them in your raised bed or your garden. Put them in a container. I won't say it again. Okay, the final thing I'm going to say about mint is this. If you let them go to flower, one, the leaves are going to get kind of bitter or woody. You're not going to want to use them in culinary reasons, but an added bonus to letting your mint plants go to flower is this. They will bring in so many pollinators because those little flowers just attract everything under the sun. And that is a huge bonus, especially if you don't have a lot of flowers out here to bring in the pollinators and you have mint growing like I do. That's why I just let it go to flower, and it will bring in every kind of pollinator you can ever imagine. So that is definitely an added bonus. If you're gonna be stuck with mint, you might as well make the best of it, right? All right, everybody, that's the video on mint. I hope I've encouraged you, or at least educated you on what you need to really think about in regards to this herb. It is a very good herb. It's hardy to a point, especially in my zone. zone 9. It is very hardy. I cannot get rid of this mint, which means I always have it. So it's an added bonus, and I guess a curse. Everyone, if you all enjoyed this video, as always, do me the favor, share it, like it, and subscribe to this channel if you've not done so already. Everyone take care, God bless. Continue to shine bright, harvest hard. Get out there, plant mint. Try it. I advise you to put in a container first, but hey, you do you. Talk to y'all again real soon. Bye. Next one is more up my alley, and that is now this next one is more up my alley. Now the next one is more up my alley because this is a margarita mint. Jojo, oh, what are you doing?